Why sacred union requires men and women to honor their differences. In case we haven't met yet, I'm Jess X Goh, and I'm the sole founder of Life in Confidence. If you haven't done so, please subscribe to my YouTube channel. If you're getting any value out of this video, please give it a like and comment below with any questions or insights so I can best support you there. And feel free to share it with your loved ones who are in need of this transmission so they are supported too through their healing journey. Now let's get to it. Why is it that there is so much confusion going on with how men and women are interacting with one another, relating, communicating, and even the way we're making love to one another? There is so much programming going on in the matrix, and it is to split the consciousness of heterosexual men and women, to warp them into a gender identity that is not in alignment with God's creation. In fact, transgenderism is a mental illness, and that is because of the deep-seated programming from an early age that is being indoctrinated through TV shows, movies, music, Hollywood, celebrities, influencers, politics, and more of the younger generation is being exposed to that, is being taught about this through school. And it is no wonder that there is so much more confusion in our gender identity and how heterosexual men and women are engaging with one another. We experience this in dating and in our relationships as well as marriages. Why is it that men and women struggle to get their point across, to force each other to think the same, to be on the same page all the time, to do things the same way, to make love the same way? And it's because God has created us to be polarizing. This is why we are constantly wanting to communicate the same way when we don't, because men communicate more directive. They need instructions. They need things to be straight to the point rather than a story. Whereas women communicate through stories and experiences, because this is how they connect with other women. But they expect men to understand them the way they communicate with women. But this is an expectation that men and women need to manage, that we are not the same sex, and we are being programmed through the matrix that we somehow are. And this is not coming from a place of love or truth or divinity. It is coming from the system, which is set up by the cabal, the patriarchy, if you want to put it that way, the elites that's in control of this programming, in control of what content that we consume from the textbooks that they created, how much of that is true. And so through this programming of what content we're consuming through podcasts, through textbooks, through theories, and wherever we're getting our content from, we have to be mindful just the way what food we put into our body. Are we putting toxins, or are we putting medicine in our minds and in our bodies? So we need to think of it the same way. Just because the content is free doesn't mean it's supportive of you. So it's really important to come back to the basics. And it's real simple. God has made a heterosexual man and a heterosexual woman. That is truth. Why? It's to create babies, to pass on the genes to the next generation, to keep procreating, right? We're meant to have communities, tribes, families. That's what we're biologically designed for. And so many of us have been disconnected to our organic biology because of this false programming that's going on. Even myself, right? You know, I've been so programmed to not want to have children. And from my understanding, I can see the deep-rooted trauma that I've experienced in my family upbringing that is preventing me to be maternal, preventing me to have that desire to want to have children. And my partner wants to have children with me. And this is a very healthy and natural way of being, is to procreate, to have children, to have a family. And so with women expecting men to communicate like them is the wrong expectation, because men will never communicate how a woman would communicate, because a man is wired to think more linear. That's why he needs instructions. That's why he needs directions. Even my partner communicates that with me. So I need to be more mindful not to share stories or experiences, and to learn to be more direct in that way to help him feel supported, how we can work together as a team. And as a woman, what I need is that emotional support, perhaps softer words to connect with me, you know, show me how I'm special to you rather than just another object, right? And this is how women want to feel. And so when we help one another to understand how we communicate rather than judging each other, that's not how you should talk to me. It's because you're not taking the time to be curious enough to understand that your partner is wired to communicate with you differently. A heterosexual man is designed to hunt, to chase, to provide for the woman and for the children, for the family, for the tribe, for the community. He is wired to protect us, to provide for us. So, of course, his communication style is going to be different because he thinks more of a linear way. He even operates more of a linear way compared to women. Women are designed to be cyclical. This is why we have a womb. We go through our summer, autumn, winter, and spring every month. 1 week is each season. This is why we go through our periods. And for those who are menopausal or menopausal, energetically you're still going through that because you still have a womb. And so women change their minds all the time. They're more volatile, they're more emotional when they make decisions compared to men. And it's because this is how they're wired. They're wired to be more in flow, to follow their intuition, to be more changeable and adaptable, because this is their biological makeup. Why? Because they have a womb. Their womb is designed to create children. And so their focus is about bonding with women, with children, with their communities. And this is how they communicate, is in that manner. Whereas men communicate in a more direct and blunt way because they're very career focused, if you want to put it that way. They need to focus on providing and protecting for the family. So that's one thing we need to get clear about, is that men and women communicate differently. And this is completely normal. And it's completely normal if you and your partner do not understand each other because of these differences. And why it's so important to honor these differences, because these differences are designed to complement the polarity of the masculine and the feminine in a sacred way. Because our differences offers value to one another, and we can learn from one another. This is why we're not designed to be the same gender. Also, the way we operate, men need structure, they need instructions, they need that guidance, they need that routine and organization and planning to get into that momentum in moving forward with their goals, to get things done. Whereas women, we have been programmed to operate in this way in the matrix, and we have lost that connection with our cyclical nature to honor our womb, to listen and feel into our cycle. And so the way I operate is that when I'm in my bleed, in my winter, I will give myself permission and take the time to sleep, to nap, to rest as much as I need throughout the day and in the night. And that work is put to the side, and that I will have plenty of time when I come into my spring to work on these things, because the energy is in the right place to then start working again. And so women are so harsh on themselves why they can't get things done, because we're cyclical beings. We need to carve out time in our winter to rest, to replenish, to rejuvenate before we can plant and sow our seeds in the spring, and to harvest them in the summer and to go into full bloom before we start to slow down in our autumn. So every week, the way we operate in terms of work, managing the household, is going to be different, because our energy levels every single week in the month is going to be different. So we need to take the time to educate ourselves, to understand we are cyclical beings. This is why we are so much more emotional, because our energy levels drops, shifts, elevates every single week. Even my partner has communicated to me, what I love about you, Jess, is that you're a different woman every single time. Even the way we make love, or the way you respond, or the way you operate, the way you do things, it's different all the time. And it's because I'm following and honoring my cycle. And I noticed that I'm actually far more productive being cyclical than being linear. Because in the past, when I was linear, I will constantly find myself in burnt out, being sick all the time, having sore throats because I struggled to ask for help, to receive support, to get a sick leave when I was working in corporate. And now running my own business and being more in tune with my womb and the wisdom that she has to offer to me, I rarely get sick. And for me to get the flu, it's very rare for me. I haven't got the flu for a while, for years. And it's because I'm honoring more of my cyclical nature. So we need to be kind as women towards ourselves, the need to slow down, the need to have regular breaks and rest, because it's how the way our body works. And lastly, lovemaking. The way we make love is different. A woman needs to feel softened. She needs to feel safe in her body through slow and sensual touch. And funny enough, men love that type of touch too. It helps them to feel like they're in their masculine. They're feeling worshipped in their male bodies. Even with the lingam, it requires that sensual touch. It doesn't require that pornographic type of abuse that we have been programmed about sex. It's far from it. It's far from reality. And so we need to come together with this sacredness of honor, of appreciation, and to respect each other's needs, and to find a system where we can flow in this ceremonial ritual of lovemaking. That this is something that it is sacred. It is not something that we diminish through just bang wang, thank you ma'am. I don't know if I said that one correctly, but to just have a quickie or to just bang it on and that's it. Men and women have lost that sacred connection of what lovemaking is about. not only it's about making babies, but it's also about filling into the pleasure of our temples as well. Being connected with God, with spirit, as we're lovemaking as well. Yes, there is that primitive aspect to it, but it's not just the primitive aspects. It's connecting together as souls. That what I see in you is what I see in me too. And that we're coming together in a sacred union. And when we understand how men and women are wired biologically differently when it comes to lovemaking, men are so attracted to a woman through the senses, through his vision, and it arouses his lingam. And for a woman, she needs to feel special, and then her body, her womb opens up and she starts to get lubricated. So we are wired differently to be aroused, and there's a reason why. Because a woman takes longer to be aroused because she has a womb, and her womb is her nest, and she is selective in who she picks as a partner, as a mate, to enter her nest, to enter her womb, to plant the seed of what would be her baby. So that's why women take longer and far more selective of a mate, because of this process. Whereas men, they go for the most attractive partner. So we have to really honor the differences that men and women have to honor, because we are wired differently. Men are wired to plant the seed of their sperm into the women to seed more children into the world. So it's really important that men and women honor each other's differences and spend the time to understand each other, rather than judging that they are this way. But there's a reason why they are that way. And this is why the Matrix is programming so much confusion and drama around gender, because they want to split our consciousness to be divided rather than united in the traditional family unit of a heterosexual male and a heterosexual female with heterosexual children. And promoting this idea of transgenderism, and it's coming through more through Disney, through their movies and TV channel, because that is part of the programming to split the consciousness of children, to confuse their gender identity. And so this divides humanity rather than unites humanity to be part of this traditional family unit, which creates communities and tribes. This is how we come together. This is how we can help one another. It takes a village to raise a baby, a child. This is why we need one another. And so I really hope that what I'm sharing with you can really help you if you are dating or you're currently in a divine partnership, to really understand why we have communication problems and indifferences. It's because we are wired differently. It's the way God has created us. And if you're interested in learning more about that, I share more about this in my conscious relationship workshop and retreats. So if you're interested in attending by yourself or with your partner, you can learn more in the link below, and you're welcome to book a spot to really experience the unlimited possibilities for you in what it looks and feels like to be in a sacred union with your beloved, or calling in your beloved if you're single. And if you are ready to reclaim your divine feminine essence as a woman who happens to be very hyper independent, driven by her masculine, and lost her connection and trust with the feminine, my Magnetic Woman workshop and retreat will be the right fit for you. You can learn more about this in the link below, how you can rediscover your cyclical nature, your womb wisdom, and communicating with your yoni in order for you to live your best life and experience true empowerment through your divine feminine essence, not through the feminist movement that is destroying the female psyche to be a man and disconnect her from her radiance. If you are ready to dive deeper into moving mountains and find your you, I have my Transforming Trauma workshop and retreat coming up, which you can learn more in the links below. And you can also choose to work with me privately, one-to-one, for a 1-day or 2-day trauma recovery retreat with 1-month WhatsApp or Telegram support, where it's tailored to your needs and your concerns and your goals in order for you to keep moving forward. You can also choose to work with me privately in a 3-month container called Find Yourself and Trust. This is a really high-level program. It's not for everyone. It's for someone who is a high achiever, who is ready to make a massive difference and transformation in all areas of their life. I would recommend that you watch my free webinar first before booking a free clarity call to inquire about this container. So you can learn more about that in the links below. And if you want to just step your toes into what it is that I do, I would recommend to either join my Winter Solstice Ancestral Trauma Clearing Circle. You can also get access to the replay for 1 month if you can't attend live, to start clearing the blockages and interferences through your father and mother lines that's interfering with your self-worth. Or you can enroll into Inner Child Healing course, Transform Wombs into Wisdom, where I share with you in 6 modules, step-by-step techniques that has helped my clients to live their best life by healing their mother and father wounds and their inner children, and to bring these pieces into unification and wholeness, to remember who you truly are, and that is divine love. So you can learn more about this in the links in my video description. So there you have it, my love. May you honor the differences in men and women so you can fully show up for love, peace, joy, and unity with your current beloved or your future beloved. Because when we choose to honor the differences that's playing up within ourselves, we can then find compassion, peace, and wholeness from within. And so what we experience from within, we then bring that out into our relationships and into the world.